Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Caspian and I read a lot of books, mainly library books. But today I'm here to talk about two books that aren't from the library that I read during the month of June. The first one I read between my reading vlogs, I think, and the other one I read during the time when I was editing my second reading vlog. And I didn't really have the time to vlog about it, and I haven't had the time to talk about this before now, but now I'm here. So, both books are in Swedish, and I will start with this one. This is called Mervanien by the author Clas Svensson, and yeah, we share a last name, but we are not related. He is, however, a friend of the family. This is his third out of 4 books, and he writes children's books and YA books, and in this book we follow a group of teenagers that are 14 to 15 years old, and the story begins in a school setting when a few of the young people are awaiting band practice, so not like orchestra or something like that. It's more of a group of young people coming together with their guitars and their drum sets and that kind of band practice, but they are allowed to use a room in the school to practice in the evenings. And one of the young people, Hugo, is also struggling in school, and he gets the help of his crush, Saga, that helps him to get his grades up. So he and Saga is sitting in the school cafeteria in the evening to study before band practice, and then Ludde, one of the band members, come. And Ludde, Hugo and Saga are witness to some adults having some kind of altercation, and one of them ends up dead. They hear a gunshot and they run towards the gunshot to get a look at what's happening. And when they do that, they are, of course, being witnesses to it. And a teacher of the school is a part of this group of adults, see the young people, and he decides that they need to be taken with them to get out of there. They are being taken hostages. So these 3 young people are being taken hostages, and they are being swept along on a journey through Europe to the fictive country. So it's not a real country in Europe, but a fictive country of Mervanien, or I think if the author would translate the book or have it translated, maybe the title would be Mervania. That's how you would probably translate the name of the country, Mervanien. So Mervanien is a fictive country in this book. It's a part of Europe, and it's supposed to resemble Yugoslavia during the conflict in the 1900s, and yeah. So there's a political aspect to this story, where Mervanien is in conflict with 2 other countries that are basically fighting over if they are supposed to stay a union or if they are being divided. And there are a lot of complications to this. Among other things, we get to know that there are people from the different countries spread out in the other countries, so it's not like all the Mervanians are in one country and not in the other. They are very mixed, and it would be very difficult to draw lines between the countries if they were to be divided. And one of the people that are taking the kids away, taking them hostage, are a very a person in a very high position in Mervania. I'm gonna say Mervania from now on. It's just easier to keep the English flowing. He's a very high up person in the former government of Mervania, and he is a part of the opposition. So we get to follow the kids on the journey through Europe, being taken hostages, but also befriending Sergio, that they later find out has a completely different name. He's been hiding in Sweden under the name Sergio. So it's a very interesting story, and I did enjoy it, and I would say it's character heavy, character driven, which is the author's strong suit, I think. I have read, this is the second book of his that I have read, and I plan to read the others as well. But I did give this a 3.5 stars, just because it wasn't my kind of story in a lot of ways, and there were a few times where I found the pacing to not to be to my liking. I think a lot of people would like this book, and I know that the author said that he had, because he's worked as a teacher and he had kids at his school that have read it and enjoyed it, and they liked the pacing. So I think it's a matter of personal taste, and there were just some pieces of the book that I would have wished had another pacing. And yeah, I think I've grown out of this type of story that is in Mervanien, but I do think it's an important book, and it has a really clear message, and it has a wonderful ending, and I do recommend it to people that have maybe kids that could enjoy this type of story. It hasn't been translated. When I talked to the author, I had an interview with him, or a conversation with him, and in Swedish, and that conversation will be shared in 2 parts on my channel eventually. And when I had a conversation with him, we talked about troubles for a small author that he considers himself to be, the troubles that a small author can have with publishing companies, and that he's considering publishing independently next time because of the difficulties and the restrictions that he feels that they put on his writing and the sharing of his writing. We talked a lot about the difficulty of publishing audiobooks and restrictions around that, and also ebooks and other type of formats on books. Yeah, we talked a lot about that. So if I at some point in the future learn how to make subtitles, maybe I will share that video with English subtitles. But yeah, The Forest of Vanishing Stars, I think the English title is. The Forest of Vanishing Stars. In Swedish it's called Skogen där stjärnorna slocknar by Kristin Harmel. So this is a completely different story, but not that different, because it's also wartime in this book. So in this book we follow Jona, and Jona is only 2 days old when she is being kidnapped and taken away from her parents in Germany, and she's being brought up by this elderly woman out into the forest. So she's living in the forests of Central and Eastern Europe, and she's being brought up there and learned how to take care of herself in the forest, how to dig earth houses for the winter, and how to survive the winters, and how to hunt in the summers, and all of that stuff. She learns how to take care of herself. So when she's around 20 years old, this woman is over 100 or almost 100 years old, and when she passes away, and Jona has to take care of herself. And this is when the war has come to Europe, so the Second World War. And she meets a group of people that are on the run from, they are Jews on the run from the Nazis, and she decides to help them survive in the wild until the war is over. and she does this a couple of times, you could say, and it's a gripping story, and I cried a lot. It was very, very sad. We got to follow a group of Jews just trying to survive, and we got to follow their emotional journeys, the love in their heart that they had to their families and the people left behind, the grief that they needed to carry, and because they couldn't really work through it because the war was ongoing, and then the hate that they felt towards the people that had taken everything away from them. We got to follow the journey of feeling hate and wanting revenge, and just wanting to be left alone, wanting everything to be like it was, realizing it never will be, and just a couple of years of wars when they are in these woods, when Jonah is in these woods trying to help Jews survive. And we also get to follow Jonah's inner journey of feeling like she's a stranger and she doesn't belong with these people that she's trying to help, and they see her as not one of their own because she doesn't even know what she is. Is she a Jew? Is she not a Jew? She only knows that she was taken away from her parents that in Berlin, but she knows barely nothing about that. She has some memories of her parents, some vivid memories of her father standing above her crib, and her mother sitting in a chair and that sort of thing. And in this story we actually get to follow Jonah meeting her father and what the impact that has on her. And I gave this book 5 stars. I was so captivated. I don't know if I will endure or put myself through reading this book again. This book actually reminded me of why I don't like war stories, because it's just so hard. It just, takes a hold of your heart and just squeezes it, and I just feel for every single person in the story, and I feel every grief and every sorrow and every struggle, and it's a difficult journey to be swept along, So I don't think I will reread this, but I would love to read other things by this author, and I think this is one of the first books. It can't be, but it feels like it's one of the first or one of the few books that I have given a 5 star without wanting to reread it, but just having it like on a pedestal and being like, oh, this is great, So yeah, that's how I feel about The Forest of Vanishing Stars. And I really, really recommend it if you are into historical fiction, if you are prepared to cry a lot. And it almost followed me into my dreams. I had to really read something else along with it a few times, and then I tried to do that, and then I couldn't, and I had to keep on with the story. Fortunately, I almost didn't dream anything during those nights. I have no idea why. But I just thank my guiding star for allowing me to sleep through those nights without being in the war. So yeah, those are the books that I have had to talk about today. And this can be bought in Swedish, of course, online, but also in if you want to contact the author to buy the book, if you're Swedish and watching this, or Swedish speaking and watching this, then you can contact me and I can connect you to the author. That's what I had to share with you today, and I hope you enjoy your reading. I do my very best to do so myself. so much that I have DNF'd 2 books since reading this one, but I am finally in a place where I'm reading 2 other books that I enjoy both very much, and I think I will probably finish them in June, so they will be a part of my June wrap up if I don't have time to talk about them individually, as you know, before then. So yeah, enjoy your reading, and I will see you in my next video.